Well, welcome to the Avila University tutorial on how to find articles. To get to the library's webpage, anywhere where you have the A, click on Library over here on the far right-hand side, and that will get you to the library's homepage. It looks like this. It has 4 sections. This left column is our navigation, including frequently asked questions and the forms, which will be important later, especially the interlibrary loan journal request form. There's also the Find Books, which we'll cover in a second video, and Find Articles. Since our book lending is suspended, we're going to cover ebooks. Finding Articles is a list of our databases and, of course, our chat box, which is manned by librarians from 8 to 5 and a grad student and a 5th year senior, cover that in the evening shifts. They take turns, as well as the weekends from 1 to 5 on Saturdays and from 1 to 11 p.m. So in the evenings, just like as if you were in the library, there's someone there from 5 o'clock until 11 p.m. So Avila students who know Avila resources can help you out. All right, so find articles. This is the part that you are going to probably use the most for your assignment. You're asking a question and it's looking for your questions, which is to write about a topic. So depending on the topic is really going to determine where you go to look and which database you use. This is our alphabetical list of databases. As you can see, it's a long list, and you can always request help down here. That goes to our Gmail account, and we'll respond to that. Check that periodically. But if you need immediate help, use the chat box. Okay. Because we can set up appointments for Skype or Zoom. Here we go. We are going to start with the Academic Search Premier. Now, this is kind of an all-around, solid, good starting place. And if you're not sure where to start, look here and you can see this Choose Databases. This brings up a list of all of the databases. And if you don't know what each one does, and you probably don't because you don't have to use them, the little yellow box will pop out and it'll tell you what it's about. This one is an academic database. It has 2,100 journals, 150 journals, full art citation. Okay, well, you can read it for yourself because I'm obviously watching it. You can also put in here the master file, which is another academic one, kind of a well-rounded one, full text, 1,700 periodicals, which is a good one. But depending on what you're looking for, if you had a nursing subject, then you probably would want to check CINAHL. If you're having something in a literature class, then you might want to check, there's a humanities one. And use that. If you're in business, you're probably going to want to use Business Source Premier. If you're in social work or in education, you might want to try ERIC or the Child Development and Adolescent Studies. So depending on what your subject is really going to determine where you go. You'll also notice there's some reference book e-collection down here. There's a set of encyclopedias. ERIC is an education databases, 2 of them right there together. So when you've clicked on the ones that you're going to use, you say OK. And now it's going to search those databases. What you don't want to do, there's a button that lets you click all. You're going to get stuff that's not relevant to what you're looking for, and it'll be a waste of your time as you sort through those. So you want to use your time effectively and efficiently. All right. So we're going to look for pollution, and we want to look at ocean. Now, let me tell you why I'm doing it this way. And plastic. And let's say, because this isn't Google. And that's always a hard part for people to kind of, when you're used to using Google, you put it in like a question, like, how much pollution is in the ocean? Well, that's a different kind of question. Databases and library catalogs have a long history of developing keyword searches, but subject-specific searches. It's called Control Vocabulary. And it's just simple one words that you put together. And this one's kind of interesting because if I use, we call it a Boolean search, but it's an and or. So I can look for pollution and the ocean, or pollution or the ocean. So now we're talking air pollution or ocean pollution. If I change that to not, I'm looking for pollution but not in the ocean. So now I'm going to look for all kinds of pollution that are on land. And so that would work if you have plastic. So we want to look at plastic pollution. So you have to kind of play with these terms. We're going to go and ocean. And we're also going to say not rivers or lakes, just in case you get any confusion. Now, honestly, you probably won't, but I'm just giving you the idea that you can add in search terms there. This is in the advanced search. We'll conduct a search to see what we get. All right, we have 1,197 searches results. Okay, you'll also notice over here you've got some images. So if you want to put images into your report, plastic bottles on the beach, somebody's sandal that got lost in the ocean swim, plastic bottles, all kinds of debris, right? So oftentimes you'll have images that are there as well that you can put in. The citations will be provided for those images, which is very nice. Then you're not in violation of copyright. You'll notice here we also have the option to do scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Now, depending on what your topic is, that's great. If I only want stuff from oceanographers and people who are maybe working in the industry for plastics, then I want some chemists who are talking about what's happening as things break down in the ocean. A peer-reviewed article is going to be something that is looked at by other people in that field. So if it's a social work article, it's going to be reviewed and by other social workers. They're going to look at the information and the statistics and the theory, and they'll make editorial suggestions before that ever gets put into the journal. Same thing. If it's a chemistry article, it's going to be reviewed by other chemists. If it's a nursing article, it's going to be reviewed by other nurses. Sometimes this is important and sometimes it's not. It depends on what the subject is. You'll also notice here we have the age or the time that it was published. It was 1975 all the way up to 2020. We probably want some more current information. So I'm going to say let's go for at least the last 6 years and give it a click and it's going to update. That'll change our search parameters. It also changes the number of results we get. We now have 897 results. So the question becomes, how do I narrow that even more? And is it necessary? So one of the things that you can do, you can say, okay, I only want academic, or I only want magazines or newspapers or journals. That will also make that search more narrow. I can say I want to switch databases, only do one database. I could say, here's geography. I only want stuff in the Mediterranean, or I only want stuff in the Pacific Ocean, or I only want stuff in the Atlantic. That gives you the option. It says show more, and then you can click, and you'll notice it goes in descending order on the hit count, and it'll let you specify where you want it to look. If we want to look at all the oceans, and we're not necessarily going to be very picky about that, then we can leave it where it's at. Language can also sometimes come into play. You'll notice we've got some in Hungarian and Spanish and Persian and Portuguese. And frankly, I don't speak those, so I'm going to limit it to English, just to kind of get those out of the way. And that'll give us a little lovely update. Okay, so one other thing that you can do is a subject search as well. And if I click on more, this will also allow me to narrow down what it is I'm looking for. Am I looking at marine pollution? Am I looking at plastic marine debris? Plastic strips, plastic in the environment, marine debris, plastics. So I can just pick and choose, and then I can say update this. And again, that's going to narrow the kinds of articles it's going to have. Now I have 155. Okay, So let's just say I love this article here. I think this is a great possibility. Untangling the problem of ocean plastic. So this is in a periodical. Notice this isn't a peer-reviewed journal. There's a couple things to take note here. This has an abstract. It will save you a lot of time. This is only a couple of paragraphs long. This isn't very lengthy. This is going to be real easy to get through. So it's got a real short abstract. But if it's a 20-page paper, you want to kind of read through that first so you don't waste time trying to figure out if it works for you or not. Read the abstract. Save yourself some time. You also have subjects here. Ocean, plastics, marine debris, fisheries, plastic scrap, fishing nets. Now, if this is something that really hits what you want to look at, you want to pay attention to these subject codes because notice ocean is the only one, along with plastic, that's in our subject codes. Let's see what happens if we eliminate this. And we've got 165. We go back to our refine the search. Take this out. Let's see what happens. Oops. I meant to eliminate that one, not add. Alright, now search. So let's see what happens. 897 to 1,000. Okay, so now that added in articles because I eliminated that. We took out the not lakes. So actually that might have been a good limiter. That's what we call them. You're limiting the amount of things that you are getting in your search. Okay, so whereabouts of missing plastic. So now this also brings up a different article on top. So let's go back to our other one that we did have, untangling problem of ocean plastic. As you play with these searches, that's one of the things you have to pay attention to. That is, it will change the where it's arranged in your result list. So if you find something that's great, make sure that you grab it when you see it. Okay, so this is a 3-page article. And there is the article itself. It's very short. This is actually looks more like kind of maybe an introduction. She captains the search for fishing nets. Founder and executive director of Ocean Voyages Institute. It's kind of a little biography of her, which is interesting, but probably not very useful for what we're doing. So let's go back to our result list and let's see if we can find something else. I mean, we may come back to her and say, okay, so she's a pioneer. You know, you never know what you're going to find. There are now 5 trillion pieces of floating plastic in the ocean near you. Again, small abstract. Here's one that's kind of interesting. You have an HTML full text. What that's going to do is going to have the article and it's going to show it in kind of this linear fashion. Again, this one's very short. It's only a couple paragraphs. Got a great graphic. May or may not be useful for what you're doing. But if you put it in a PDF, it's going to show it exactly like it appears in the magazine. And that can be useful because you'll notice here you have the page number. And that page number is going to be great for citation. So if you decide, okay, this is something that I can use, you can either download this article, and then it goes onto your personal computer. And I want to say possible article. Let's see. Let's do a new folder. Comp 2 article on ocean debris. Save that. Okay. Get that out of there. I can print out my article. This is also kind of nice. Do you see this right here? I've got a Google Drive and my Google account is open. So it's going to ask me, do I want to connect with my Google Drive? My authentication is to print the pop-up blocker, the site, the window here is open. You had to permit pop-up alert to allow this site. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go back and do that. I had to make some adjustments on my computer recently, and it's created some things where I have to redo things. So, but once that's set up, yes, you can save that to your Google Drive, and it gives you a button and it just says this has been saved. Okay. You can also email yourself this article, put in your email address, and then you can say which citation format you're using, MLA, and you can just send it to yourself. Let's see, let's send it to my Google. Okay. Actually, let's send it to the work one. That way you have my email address if you have questions later. All right, and then debris, ocean debris, and send it. Now the other really nice thing is too, is that I can also have this as a citation. This is called the golden ticket, and I can go down and find my works cited. Christy Wilcox has written this article. I can copy, paste that, and put that in my Word document, and so that I can save that. Ooh, come on, baby. And here's my article. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the font on these. I'm going to, obviously these are different fonts, so I will resave those later and make that part of my works cited. That's my beginning. Now I've got those saved so I can keep track of them. Okay. So there you go. You could also put this in the folder. That would mean that I have to also sign in. It'll do a folder, but it won't keep track of it if you don't keep track of it. So if I sign into my Google account, there we go. Now it's going to allow me to look at my folder, and it's going to save articles of things that I'm doing. You'll notice down here I have my custom comp 2 folder, and as I find articles, I've only got one in there right now, but I can add more to it, which is great. So I can actually create a folder for every class that I have a project that I'm working on, and instead of them all being here in this long list that's over here, I can put those into my folders as I go, and that makes it really easy to see. But if I'm kind of in a hurry, or if I don't know yet whether or not this is an article that's going to work, I can go back to that result list, and I can kind of go through and kind of cherry pick and say, okay, maybe so. Let me stick that in the folder. Let me put it in my comp 2. Let me go through $150 billion problem. Clearing up the ocean plastic pollution may take a lot more than 1 billion to 1.5 pledged by the industry. Okay, let me stick that one in there too. That's some ethics and responsibility. We're all eating plastic. So this is about micro marine plastic that's in stuff that's ending up in our water. So let me put that in there too. So that's how that feature kind of works, and that's super helpful for you. So if I take this off, the full text, well, actually, there's a couple ways to use this. So if I take off the full text, there's the possibility that I can look at this, and if I'm in OCLC, what this feature does is it allows me to look and see. We're in the process with this one. So it used to be you would look and it would tell you if there's a library close to you. The problem with that right now is most of our libraries are closed. It's supposed to go to a form that will allow you to fill it out. So hopefully in the next couple of days we'll get that fixed. And you fill out the form, and then it goes to their interlibrary loan person, and it's kind of self-populating. This one, you'll notice it has full text finder. So this is a really great thing that's actually also in this long list of databases. Full text finder is a service that goes across all of our databases. So ProQuest is another vendor. so is LexisNexis. And if you use Full Text Finder here, and you put in the title of the journal, not the title of the article, but the title of the journal, then it'll go and find it for you. So if I say, okay, I want this thing on polystyrene, and it says check the full site, it says that it is in a couple of places, including Science Direct, but I could also request this through Interlibrary Loan. I can search for more info for this title in Google Scholar. So if I just jump right here to Interlibrary Loan, it says the full text at the publisher's website. This one's tricky because it depends on the publisher. So like a lot of really good big ones like Science Direct and Elsevier and Springer, especially in the sciences, they don't share, and they want you to pay $30 to get to their information. So you can get the citation there, and that's kind of be helpful, but it's not usually going to give you the whole article. But you can also request this then through Interlibrary Loan, put in your first and last name. There is no library card. You don't have to do department, you just have to do the red dots. So fill out your address, fill out your email, that's the most important one. Phone number, in case there's a problem with us getting it for you, and when you need it by. Don't wait to do this. And then as you can see, it auto-fills the information for you, which makes it super easy for them to go and look and get that article for you. So that's really great on the Full Text Finder. If it's just a citation and it's not connected to the Full Text Finder for any reason, then you can go back to that ILL form and fill that out. It's going to ask you for a price. You're going to say 0. You want to pay 0. And then they'll go and they'll look for other libraries that are doing that exchange for us right now without having to pay money. So that's really awesome. All right, so that is the basics of how to get articles. I hope that's helpful. If you have questions, right now my phone is forwarded to my cell phone. So my phone number is 816-501-2428. You can set up a Zoom appointment or a Skype appointment. We'll be happy to help you out. Larry is in the building, so if you call the direct line, 816-501-3621, this week you'll get him. Next week you'll get me. You can call his office, 816-501-3712. He's in charge of ILL, but he can also help you with the databases as well. So between the two of us and the chat box, we are on our way to helping you out. Okay. I hope this helps. I hope it helps a lot. And we will talk to you soon.